All right, hey guys, welcome to Swami Speaks. My name is Kangana.
And my name's Ayushi. Before we get started today, I just want to take a few moments to introduce who we are. So we are a Bhakti Club. We are a spirituality-based organization where we focus on the body, mind, and soul. And so we do this through various different activities such as mantra meditation, spiritual discussions, and yoga. We meet from 8 to 10 p.m. on Thursdays, so please follow our Instagram at RUBhakti. You can scan the QR codes to stay updated.
And just a side note, when you guys all entered, you guys were given wristbands. Please keep them on at all times as they are your voucher to a meal tonight. If you didn't receive one, you guys can go back to the front and get it. Also, we just wanted to give you guys a few minutes to get to know each other. So,
please turn around, say hi to your neighbors, get to know them a little, maybe even become friends. Play True Truths and a Lie. Just get to know each other, because at the end of the day, we're all a big family in here. We'll give you guys a few minutes to get associated. Kangana, is it just me, or are you also always so tired, man?
bro, don't worry, I'm in the same boat. I'm always trying to figure out what to do with my life. Like, why are all my exams in the same week, or why is it actually impossible to catch the LX? Or the
Tell me
usual?
about it.
Why can I never connect to RU Wireless?
That's been my biggest problem since I've been here. I've been here for 3 years. Or the classic, am I following my dreams or am I just following my deadlines? Like, take a look at my eye bags, they're bad.
Don't worry about it. But tonight, we've got someone here who's here to help us answer the big questions. And trust me, he's no ordinary speaker.
That's right, our guest, Keshava Swami, is pretty cool, man. He's spoken at some pretty low-key places, like, Amazon, Google, Apple, Princeton, Stanford. Oh, and he's also met Queen Elizabeth II. That's no biggie, though. I've met her in my dreams.
But Keshava Swami isn't just fancy. He's a monk. And that doesn't mean he just meditates 24/7. It's someone who's dedicated their life to simplicity and spiritual growth. He's basically been a monk for over 20 years, and he's written 10 amazing books in the process.
Right there. And trust me, he's got stories. So you're going to hear not all of them, he has too many, but you're going to hear a lot of them tonight, so stay tuned.
But on a serious note, Keshava Swami is here to help us figure out our purpose in life. Something we all think about, especially as college students. And tonight, the cool part is that our entire interview is in a Q&A format. You guys can also ask him questions that you may have, whether it's about life, school, or even how to survive on instant noodles for a week.
Spoiler alert, it's not easy.
Ayushi, do you have experience?
Maybe.
And to kick things off, we've got our two interviewers here lined up tonight. Arav, a computer science and data science student who is also our event coordinator. And Sham, someone who's majoring in political science and economics, who is our PR specialist and a certified yapper.
That's true, I can attest to that. So without further ado, let's get this interview rolling. Please give a warm welcome to the monk himself, Keshava Swami. Woo! Thank you.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming out today. Special thanks to Keshava Swami. We hope you like Rutgers, the city of New Brunswick. We hope it was good. Get things started, we'd like to know a little bit about essentially who you are. You've come up, you're 6'5", you're wearing orange, you have a bright orange stick in your hand. And we'd like to know essentially who are you, what are you, and why do you do the things that you do?
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Really honored to be with you here this evening at Rutgers. And yeah, sometimes I do wonder myself, who am I? I guess I'm just a small spiritual being on a journey of life. And I grew up in London. And when I was maybe 15 or 16, questions of life began coming up in my mind about my future, about success, about purpose. And when I was 18, I studied at university. I studied at University College London. And what happened is through my university years, I began to realize that there was another calling. So when I graduated at the age of 21, I went to India. And I went on a bit of a spiritual search. Up in the mountains, into the ashrams, meeting many, many spiritual people. And I found my calling as a monk. And so when I was 21, I became a monk. And I still live as a monk today, 25 years later. So the orange cloth is not just a fashion statement. It represents fire, because it said that fire purifies everything. So we dress in orange cloth to try to embrace purity in our lives. We carry a stick for self-defense. That's a joke, by the way. This stick represents the stick of a renunciate, so it has 3 sticks within it, which represent the mind, the body, and the words. So what we do is we try to dedicate our life, our mind, our body, our words to serving others, to bringing a spiritual message into the world, and to getting people just thinking about what their real potential is and how they can live their highest purpose.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that insight. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
As a quick follow-up, we wanted to ask you, is there one sparking moment in your life that made you commit yourself towards spirituality? Was there that one moment that was just like, wow, I'm in it for real now?
Yeah, one night I was sleeping and the windows opened and the light came. I think there were many moments which got me thinking. As I was coming into university, Rutgers today, I was thinking about my university years. And I think one of the things that happened to me at university really got me thinking about my life. One night I was out in the middle of the night, as all students, good students do. I was at a party. Yes, it's confession time. And I remember being at this party, and there was a moment in the middle of the night, it must have been about 1 a.m. or something like that, and I was kind of sitting there observing the whole scene. And what dawned on me is I was being someone I'm not actually. I was being inauthentic. I was putting on a mask. I was putting on a facade. That I wasn't actually being myself. And I just had this strong kind of feeling in the middle of the night on this particular event that I wasn't being myself, my authentic self. And then I kind of looked around at everyone, and without being judgmental, I kind of looked around at everyone and I thought, I think a few people here are probably in the same boat as me. And I kind of went home that night or that early morning and thought to myself, I have to find out who I really am, because I feel like I'm just living a life that other people want me to live. I feel like I'm living just to get the appreciation and acknowledgement of others, but I don't really feel like it's really who I am. And I think that was one of the main things that got me searching spiritually to like really find out, who am I?
Thank you for that. You mentioned that on the way to Rutgers, you started thinking about your university. A lot of college students are here, as well as some high school students also. And so, in light of the topic that we have chosen for today, finding purpose, we'd like to get the ground rolling with that, and we'd like to define what purpose really means and how we can understand it for ourselves.
I guess purpose in its most simple sense is the reason you exist. Every single living being exists for a reason. Every single living being has a unique ability, a unique personality. Every single living being makes a unique contribution to the world. And our purpose is to identify what are those unique abilities, traits, character, personality that have been given. And then how can we use that and unleash that to make the world a better place? And so each one of us have that purpose, and we have to find that purpose. And oftentimes, like I was saying, this is the hardest thing in the world because we're surrounded by so many opinions, so many expectations, so many traditions, so much peer pressure. And in the midst of all of that, sometimes we don't actually identify what is my purpose. They say the worst type of success is when you meet all of your goals and then you realize they were somebody else's goals. And so purpose is our reason for existing, and we're each unique and we each have a unique purpose. And that's the adventure, finding that purpose and then living that purpose.
Thank you. I wanted to kind of elaborate on living that purpose on a day-to-day setting. Obviously, in college, it can be kind of difficult to wake up every morning and feel motivated to really live out that purpose. We would love it if you could share some experiences from your college days or from your younger days. That'd be amazing.
You see, like I think all of you are at university, and university is a time of learning. But what most people think is it's just a time of academic learning. And for sure, you're here at university and you should academically excel and, get your degree and reach your qualifications. But being at university and being a student is not just about being in the school of academics, but it's also being in the school of life. This is the time when every single university student has the ability to kind of vision, what do I want to achieve in life? What does success look like for me? 10 years from now, what would I want to have in my life? It's a time when we can access other opinions, look at other ways of approaching life. It's a time when we can challenge everything that we've been told throughout our lives that we should be, and question, is this really what I want to pursue? And so I think pursuing your purpose as a student means to gain academic success for sure, but it's also to gain clarity and vision in terms of what you want to do with your valuable years in this life. All of you have the great opportunity because you haven't made all your decisions in life yet. You haven't decided what career you want to do. You haven't decided who you're going to marry, I don't think. You haven't decided where you're going to live. You haven't decided all of these things yet. Now, if you begin with a vision, if you begin with a purpose, and then you make all of those decisions according to that bigger purpose you have, then what you might find is that you live a much happier life. And so university is a time to be academically successful, but also to become orientated in terms of your life journey.
Yeah, thank you so much. It seems like in a day-to-day setting, it's important to keep that purpose in mind. But sometimes what happens is, you'll have a bad test or you'll have a bad conversation with someone. And there's just these obstacles that everyone has to face no matter what. And so we'd like to hear from you on what are some ways that you yourself were able to, stay determined throughout facing those challenges. If you could shed some light.
Yeah, life is full of challenges. But they say when your why is deep enough, then you can deal with any how and what. So the first thing is to find something that captures our imagination. They say the most fearless people in the world are not people who don't have fears. They have a purpose which is so amazing that their fears kind of pale into insignificance. So obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off the goal. So the first thing is, if your why, if your purpose, if your goal, if your aspiration, if your dream is not big enough, then obstacles will derail you. But the other thing that we all require in our life is, on the way to pursuing our purpose, you need encouraging people around you. You need people who give you confidence, people who give you support, people who give you faith when you lack faith in yourself, and people who can help you to believe in yourself that I can reach this. And so I think in my life that's really helped a lot, like having encouraging people and friends around me who can help me in my pursuing my purpose, like that. So yeah, challenges will come. And another thing I'll say is that sometimes the challenges and the obstacles that we go through are actually specifically sent there to make you stronger in your purpose. Once there was a man and he saw a butterfly, and the butterfly was obviously a caterpillar before, but now it was trying to break out of the cocoon. So when he saw this butterfly struggling to break out of the cocoon, he thought, let me just help it. And he slit the cocoon open, and the butterfly flew out. And after flying for literally 10 seconds, the butterfly came crashing down and died. And he was crestfallen. And then he stopped to consider, and then he realized it was nature's arrangement. It was nature's arrangement for that butterfly to have to struggle to come out of the cocoon. Because by doing that, it exercised its wings and developed strength in its wings so that it could fly in the sky. So ultimately, when obstacles come, instead of seeing them as something which is derailing you from your purpose, you can see that these are the things that are going to make me stronger so that I can actually pursue my purpose.
Swamiji, you mentioned friendships. And I know in college sometimes it can be difficult for a lot of incoming students to come and really make good friends. Do you have any advice on how to make those lifelong friendships with people who can help push you towards your purpose and your life goals?
Yeah. I think the first and the most important aspect of friendship is honesty. If you can't be honest with the people around you, then know for sure that your friendship is not going to go that deep. So therefore, to be honest, to be oneself, to reveal one's heart, to be vulnerable in that way, and to actually be your real self, that opens the opportunity to actually have a proper connection and friendship with people. Otherwise, what you might find in your life is that you may go through your university life and you may have hundreds of names in your phone book or hundreds of thousands of followers or whatever, but you may feel that you don't really connect deeply with any of them. So the first thing in friendship is honesty. The second thing in friendship is that real friendship works when each friend is trying to empower the other friend to bring out the best in themselves. When you connect with people who are helping you to achieve what you want to achieve, to bring out your potential, people who are encouraging you, and you kind of offer that to each other, then that becomes really, really powerful and positive friendship. And so the second thing in friendship is, along with honesty, we have to be in the mood of serving each other and trying to really empower and encourage each other. So I would say these are two really important principles in friendship: to be real, and then also to serve those who you try to connect with.
Thank you. We really appreciate that.
So I'm sure a lot of you might have so many things running through your head right now, so many questions that you might have. So essentially, the way we're going to have this work is occasionally we'll stop to give you guys a chance to ask any questions that you have. We'll take a couple live questions from you guys. If you want to raise your hand, and we'll pass our mic around. And then we'll also take a question or two from the online form that we have. That QR code right there. So you can take that scan, and if you'd like to remain anonymous, you can scan that QR code and ask that question online.
So yeah, we'd like to open it up to some live questions. Does anyone have any live question relating to what Swamiji has said regarding purpose, friendship?
Do you follow Ram Dass?
Do I follow Ram Dass? If I'm honest with you, I don't know exactly Ram Dass's philosophy and his spiritual path. In our tradition, what we understand is that all spiritual teachers, all spiritual traditions, there's a unity and diversity between the way in which different people geographically and culturally practice spirituality. And therefore, we try to gain inspiration, we try to gain wisdom and strength from any spiritual practitioner, regardless of their kind of denomination. So we do gain inspiration from many, many different sources, even sometimes outside of our own tradition. But yeah, in particular with regards to Ram Dass, I can't say I know much about him. So, thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. We can open it up to one more question for this segment. Hopefully this doesn't drive you away from asking, but when you raise your hand and the mic gets to you, please stand up so we can see who's asking.
Purpose, and if I have a higher purpose, like basically, like how do I deal when I start questioning my own purpose, like the entire thing?
Thank you so much. See, in the world we've been taught that doubts are bad. In the world we've been taught that confusion is bad. In the world we've been taught that if we're not quite 100% sure about something, then something is wrong. But actually, doubts and confusion are actually very good. Existential confusion, people fear will lead to existential crisis. But existential confusion can also lead to existential awakening. When you have doubts, when you have confusions, explore them. Question yourself. Ask yourself, is this what I really should be doing? And clarify whether it is actually your purpose or not. So doubts and confusion, you can kind of see it like weight training. What happens is you're trying to move in a certain direction, but there's resistance. And what happens is when you face that resistance, but you keep moving, then what happens is you develop muscle. So doubts and confusions actually help us to develop the inner muscle, the inner character, the inner resilience, which will actually help us to achieve our potential. Therefore, you see the people who often achieve the most in their lives are people who went through moments of doubt, moments of crisis, moments of confusion, moments of obstacle, and those were the very things which empowered their success. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. We're going to move on to one online question that we had through the forum. So Swami, the question is, what if your purpose is so big that it feels overwhelming? How do you deal with something like that?
Yeah, that's why once you establish what your purpose is, then what you have to do is you have to break it down into what are the steps which are going to take me towards that purpose. Every journey starts with a step. And therefore, every success doesn't come overnight. Success comes every day in installments. And so the idea is that as one identifies their purpose, what they should simultaneously do is break it down and say, in the next 1 month, in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year, these are the things I need to do. And if I do these things, then I'm pursuing and I'm well on the way to fulfilling my purpose. So it's just a matter of breaking it down and having a plan.
We'd like to move on to our next topic, specifically to deal with like relationships and purpose. We already had a question that actually you kind of answered earlier about friendship, But we wanted to move on to our second question on offering advice in a way that is both compassionate and constructive in terms of dealing with friends, with other students, with teachers, with parents, with family members, just giving good advice in a way that doesn't come off the wrong way.
So how do you give good advice in such a way that it empowers someone
Exactly.
and it encourages them? Well, the first question to ask is, does this need to be said? The second question is, am I the one who's supposed to be saying it? And the third question is this the right time to be saying it? These are very, very important questions to answer, because if you don't answer these questions first, then you might find yourself giving people advice and it doesn't really help them, or it doesn't really empower or encourage them. The first thing is that some pieces of advice don't need to be given, because some things just will be solved over time, over the course of time. So it's not that every time someone makes a mistake or every time someone does something wrong, we need to tell them. The second thing is, even if they need to be told, the second question to ask is, am I the person to be telling them? Because oftentimes, advice needs to come from a certain person who they have a certain relationship with, who will be able to reach their heart and really help them to feel that compassion along with the advice that they're getting. And the third thing is that if you decide this needs to be said and I'm the one who's supposed to say it, then ask yourself or choose exactly the right time to do it, because timing is everything. When you say something at the right time, in the right place, with the right motivation, then it's much more likely to be accepted. So they say to accept good advice, you have to be a good person, but to give good advice, you have to be a great person. So it requires great thought, like before you advise people, so that you can really do it in a sensitive way that helps them.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just to kind of piggyback off of your point regarding the duality of accepting advice and giving advice. So if we take the flip side, a lot of times, our parents kind of have a purpose that they want for us. Doctor, engineer, lawyer. These are kind of the main things that
failure.
Yeah, exactly. And these are kind of the few of the main things that parents, want for their children. They might offer some advice to us, maybe sometimes not in the most empowering way. How can we sort of deal with that and accept it, but also not, let it consume our whole life and have an individual purpose as well?
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I think the first thing is, before you hear what your parents say in terms of what's coming out of their mouth, first try to hear their heart. Sometimes what happens is we react to someone's words, but we forgot to understand their heart. Even if the words are difficult, even if the words don't quite match with your expectations, even if the words sometimes feel a little forceful or a little imposing, try to hear the heart, that they want the best for you, that they want you to be successful, that they want you to find happiness. And when we hear the heart along with someone's words, then we're able to accept those words in a more rounded way. But the second thing is that in life, we will be surrounded by many, many people who have opinions, many, many people who have expectations of us. And we don't need to drown in those expectations. We can listen to them, we can respect them, we can take whatever's good and empowering from them, and we can thank them. But then eventually, you are an individual being, and you have individual free will, and you have to follow what you know is in your heart and what your purpose is. And therefore, if you really want to follow your purpose, You may have to be courageous. You have to be brave. You have to sometimes be willing that people around me may not understand me, and people around me may not appreciate my decisions. So that's hard, it's difficult. So what I would say is, hear the heart, appreciate the love, hear the voice, take what's good from it, and then eventually look in your heart, and then decide the trajectory that you feel you should be walking. Because remember, the worst type of success is when you achieve all of your goals and then you realize they were somebody else's goals.
Thank you.
You mentioned, You mentioned expectations and what other people might have high expectations for us. Sometimes what happens is I find myself also to have quite high expectations for myself, whether it's an exam and I say like I got 99, I wanted 100. So sometimes we beat ourselves over certain expectations that we set for ourselves. How can we sort of understand that, escape that kind of box and realize that our purpose is something bigger than what we just thought we failed at?
See, we live in a world where we're all defined by numbers. Your percentage in an exam, your position in a ranking, your profit in your bank account, your popularity on social media. We're defined by numbers, and therefore what happens is we judge our success by numbers. Einstein, he said, everything that can be counted doesn't necessarily count. And sometimes those things that can't be counted count for more. So the first thing is we have to step away and ask ourselves, what is success? Is success in a number? Or is success something much more than that? According to the sages of the East, if you develop good character, you act with your best efforts and intention, you try to sincerely do the best you can in any endeavor, then what happens is no matter what the result is, you're already successful. In other words, you can't control the result of your endeavors, but what you can control is the quality of your endeavor. And so the moment that we start judging ourselves on the quality of our endeavor rather than the number on a result, then what happens is we feel more at peace, and ironically, you actually get better results anyway, because you're not obsessing about the result, but rather you're focusing on the process. So this is a very, very important part of life. Don't obsess about the result. Rather, focus on the process. And if you focus on the process, which is all that's in your control, then what you're ultimately going to do is have the best results anyway. So remember, you're not defined by numbers. You're defined by the content of your character and the quality of your effort and endeavor.
Thank you so much.
We'd like to open it up back to live questions. Do we have any hands? We've got two up right here.
Yeah, so I feel like my discipline, like it comes in waves. Like I'll be like really focused for a couple months, but then a month will go by and I do nothing, and I get burned out, I guess. But at the same time, like I don't want to settle. Like, okay, I'm doing it enough, right? So where is that like line, I guess, if that makes sense?
How do you stay disciplined and keep that without...
Yeah, so like how do I know I'm doing enough? But like I don't want to like just say, okay, I'm doing enough, because I don't want to settle. Like I can always work harder, right?
Okay, yeah. So how do you know how much to push yourself and how much to accept that you're doing your best and not try to go beyond that? The first thing is that if you want to be successful in any field, you need to have discipline. They say the pain of discipline is uncomfortable, but the pain of regret is unbearable. So if you don't embrace that discipline, if you don't embrace that determination, if you don't have that diligence of effort, then what will happen is you'll underachieve. And if you underachieve, then you'll have regrets. So we need to have discipline. And how do we know how much to endeavor and how much, at what point it becomes over endeavor or we're trying too hard? So there are classic signs that you're trying too hard in something. The first thing is that your physical health will go down. The second is that your emotional health will decline. Your stress, your anxiety. Recently we were in Seattle, and they were talking about a school which has the highest number of suicides in the world because all the students are under so much pressure. So you know you're trying too hard when your physical health goes down, when your emotional and your mental health goes down, and you know you're out of balance and you're trying too hard when your relationships start to get damaged as well as a result of your endeavors. So these are kind of telltale signs that my life is out of balance. So we can go over the extreme of being too disciplined and trying too hard and then burning out, or we can go to the extreme of just being lazy and lethargic and not giving our best and just kind of going with the flow, and then we underachieve. So finding that middle space is where the most successful and the people who achieve the most, that's the path that they embrace. Is that okay? Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, just going off of that last question, you were saying that the telltale signs of being too disciplined or experiencing burnout in, any aspect of our journeys would be physical decline, emotional decline, or emotional stress, or distress rather, and relational breakage. Personally, I'm finding that I'm, trying to be disciplined in myself and keeping my physical, intact, keeping my my relationships at at least baseline, not causing any bad blood with anyone, and also, making sure that I'm very thoughtful in keeping those relationships. But emotionally, it's been difficult to connect with my own activities and just the world around me. So I'm wondering, especially the emotional side, but you could definitely touch on any of these other pillars. What are some ways that we can, if we are falling, and we see ourselves falling out of touch with the world around us because of this discipline, because we're trying to get really focused into our purpose, what are some ways that we can kind of support ourselves, catch ourselves, and be it's okay, these are ways that we can bring back together.
Yeah, thank you so much. See, life is like riding a bike. You never go in a straight line. You're constantly making adjustments. And therefore, finding balance means you constantly have to keep your eyes on the journey and then constantly make adjustments this way or that way. If you feel that your relationships are declining, don't worry. Go back. Go and spend time with people. Reinvest in your emotional connection with those whose company you value. And just make that adjustment. If you feel your physical health is going down, then just readjust your schedule. One thing that really helps in student life is if you can somehow have a little bit of regulation. They say time carries memory and location carries energy. So when you do the same thing at the same time in the same place, then what happens is it gives you a regulation which helps you to be much more effective and which helps you to stay kind of in balance. So what I would just say is that make adjustments. If you see that something is, you feel like you're dropping the ball somewhere, then just go back into that area and invest a little bit more time. And it's like riding a bike. You're constantly making adjustments. So there's nothing to worry about. The ancient teachers say where you are doesn't determine who you are. So you always have the power at any time in your life to say, I'm going to change this around. And it never gets to a point in life where it's beyond repair. It can always be improved. That's the power of free will, and that's the power of choice. So it's just about always being awake and utilizing that free will and choice to bring balance back into your life. Thank you.
I think there's quite a few over there.
Hi. Talking about the relationships, like on the topic of relationships, in the world of duality, how can we effectively communicate in a world where our perspectives are shaped by vastly different life experiences? For example, how can we bridge the gap between someone who has faced many struggles for, say, dealing with a health issue for 10 years and someone whose path has been much easier, ensuring that both sides feel understood and respected despite the differences in their life experiences? For example, two friends talking to each other but not able to understand each other because both of their life experiences are so different and their view of seeing life is so different.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So different people have different journeys. Some people have many struggles, other people less. Well, let's first talk about that. Once a teacher held up a glass in front of the students and said, "How heavy is this?" So some students said 5 ounces, some said 10, some said 15. The teacher said, "You're all wrong. This is as heavy as how long you hold it for." In other words, what makes this heavy is not how much water there is in there. There may be this much water or there may be this much water. But if you hold on to it, it doesn't matter how much water is in there, it's going to be heavy. So what makes someone's life heavy is the ability or the lack of ability to let go, to move on, to digest, process, accept experiences, and realize my life can still be beautiful. You see, if I have a scar on my hand, then what that scar can do is it can remind me of one of two things. Either the scar can remind me of all the pain I experienced in my life, or the scar can remind me that I went through so many things, but I'm still here and I'm still living and I'm still functioning. What is the scar going to remind you of? So, yes, people go through very difficult situations in their lives, but that doesn't mean you have to have any less of a beautiful life. In the Christian tradition, John the Baptist said, God puts great people through great trials and tribulations so they can do great things in the world. So sometimes you find, as I was mentioning previously, that people who went through difficulty become very, very wise and very, very strong. And how to deal when two people come together with very, very different life experiences, that's the beauty of relationship. Because you can learn something from them that you never experienced, and they can learn something from you that they never experienced. If I had a great life or a somewhat easy life and you had a difficult life, from you I can learn how to deal with adversity. From me you can learn how to utilize opportunities when they're given to be the best you can. So the goal of life is not to surround ourselves with people who are the same as us, but rather to embrace that diversity of experience so that we can learn things that otherwise we may not be able to grasp. Is that okay?
Let's have our last question for this round.
Hello, my name is Rishikesh. I feel like we talked a lot about having, like what happens after you have a purpose, but how do you even find that purpose? And to add on to that question, if you're comfortable, can you tell us how you found your purpose and how we can use your experience to find our purpose? And another third part in the question is, you mentioned earlier how it's the purpose that God put us onto this planet for. But if we don't have a direct connection with God, how can we find what the purpose is that God put us on this planet for?
Wow, thank you so much. I think we're going to need the rest of the night to answer that one. Thank you so much. Good question. Okay, so how do you find your purpose? Firstly, what is your purpose? If you think of an intersection of four things, what are you good at? What do you get excited by? What can you use in service to the world? And what will allow you to survive in your journey through this world? What will make you a living? When you find an activity which ticks all four of those boxes, that's very likely to be your purpose. You're good at it, you like it, you can offer it in service and make a change in the world, and you can make a living from it. So how do we find that purpose? Firstly, you have to analyze your own personality. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What unique abilities do I have? You have to analyze and ask yourself questions. What activity do I do that when I do it, I just lose track of time? What activity do I do that I'm just much better at than anything else I do? What activity would I do even if nobody paid me to do it? What activity do I do that when I do it, people usually appreciate it and value it? The answer to these questions very much indicates unique abilities and aptitudes that you've been given. So the first thing in finding your purpose is analyze your personality. The second thing is ask. Ask people who know you. Have a coach, have a mentor. Get feedback from someone who can help you to see things in yourself that you may not be able to see yourself. And the third thing is attempt. Just go out there and try stuff. Try to do different things. Don't be scared to venture and experiment and try different activities and occupations. And what often happens is in the course of that, you come across that thing which you're meant to be doing. So that's basically how you find your purpose. Analyze, ask, and attempt. And over time, what you'll find, it may not come like this, but over time, you'll find that it becomes very, very clear to you. Is that okay?
So kind of shifting gears, we are the Bhakti Club, and we tend to try and dive into the Bhakti yoga practices and lifestyle. But we wanted to ask you to define the difference between the word religion, spirituality, and then bhakti, if there is one. If you could please delve into those words.
Spirituality, religion, and bhakti, are they different? Are they the same? What are words? In one sense, words they carry different meanings according to who's speaking them and what experience they've had with it. If we look at the root meaning of each one of those words, religion comes from the Latin religare, which means to again connect with that which is beyond this world. Spirituality means to connect with that which is beyond the material. And bhakti means devotion or love or experiencing that which is beyond the physical and the emotional. So in one sense, whether you talk about religion and connecting with something, whether you talk about spirituality and transcending the material, or whether you talk about bhakti, which is love beyond the physical and emotional, what we're really doing is actually referring to the same thing. But today in the world, religion has become very external, religion has become very materialistic, religion has become very political, and therefore a lot of religion has lost its essence. And therefore nowadays people prefer to identify themselves as spiritual but not religious. But if you think about it, the essence of religion is spirituality. And the essence of spirituality is love or bhakti. And therefore, in one sense, bhakti, spirituality, and religion, in one sense we can say, are all connected, intertwined concepts.
Just to kind of piggyback off that, what is one way that we can start delving ourselves into that version of spirituality?
So, how do we begin our spiritual journey? I think it begins with spiritual wisdom, questioning, challenging, exploring, asking questions of meaning, of purpose, of whether there's something beyond what the world has told me. So I think it begins with spiritual wisdom, and I think as you grasp that spiritual wisdom, it accelerates with spiritual friendship. Being surrounded by people who are also questioning, people who are not just going along with the flow of society, but people who are ready to kind of think out of the box. And then I think it really gets deeper when you engage in spiritual practice. So doing some meditation, doing some daily kind of spiritual disconnection, and then one actually gains an experience of that spirituality in a deeper way. So how do you go on this journey? Spiritual wisdom, spiritual people, and spiritual practice.
Thank you.
So on going more into spirituality, you mentioned spiritual journey, right? That word, that phrase, spiritual journey, it has a lot of weight to it. And we've had a lot of conversations with several people throughout, the time at our club, and we see that the notion of spirituality, kind of the misconception, I guess you could say, is that spirituality is to be done alone. So something like meditation, it's to be done alone, sitting in one place, eyes closed. In that spiritual journey, you are completely alone. It's just you and yourself. And so I'd like to sort of understand, what role do relationships play in spirituality? How can our relationships and having friends and mentors, are they beneficial, or should a spiritual journey be individual?
Thank you so much. You see, spirituality, as I mentioned, is all about love. And love is experienced through relationships. So if we really want to experience spirituality, then the more relationships of love you have, the more your spiritual experience deepens. When one has a relationship of love with divinity, then what happens is they become empowered to have relationships with the people of this world in also a very, very profound way. When one has divine connection, then when they look around at the people around them, they don't just see bodies. They don't just see people who can do something for them, but they see spiritual beings who they can have a relationship on a deeper level with. And so Bhakti, the Bhakti Club, is very much about devotion and love, and that's all about relationships. And so we experience spirituality not just between ourselves and God, but between ourselves and each other, ourselves and our friends, in relation to divinity. And so for sure, spirituality is not a path of loneliness. Spirituality is not a path that you walk alone. There is an element of solitude, and there is an element of a personal journey, but it's always done in the company of others.
So I feel like a lot of people have very heavy and, let's just say, big career goals. And to kind of even embark on that, they have to go through a lot of academic struggle. Now, during that academic struggle, there can be a lot of difficulties and a lot of focus on those academic side of things. How do you balance spirituality in that type of situation?
They say every year you should disconnect for 1 month, every month you should disconnect for 1 day, and every day you should disconnect for 1 hour. As students, if you take some time every day Remember, time carries memory, location carries energy. So if you take some time every single day to disconnect, to realign, to re-energize yourself, to remember who you are and what your ultimate journey is all about, then what happens is then when you come back into the world, you have perspective. Otherwise, what happens is you make things bigger than they are, you make problems more complex than they are, you get scared by things more than you need to be fearful about them, because we're lacking perspective. So spending some time every single day stepping away. See, like when a painter paints on the canvas, then what they'll do is they'll paint, and then at a certain point they'll step away and they'll look at the whole canvas. And then after seeing it, then they'll come back in. So life is kind of like that. You're acting, you're doing things, but we need a daily time in our life where we step away from it all, and then we go in and we know what we should be doing. So if you have that daily disconnect, then it really helps.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I guess just in the interest of time, we're going to move on to our final set of questions. So if you have not asked a question and you would like to, this is your final chance to do so.
Hare Krishna. My question was, how do I know if the purpose that I've chosen for myself is good enough? Like, I see people around me and they have these big goals in life, whereas mine feels very small compared to them. And how do I know that what I've chosen for myself is good enough and I'm not just cutting myself short and choosing the easy path?
Thank you so much. Really good question. Again, what is big and what is small? We live in a world where we're measured by numbers, and therefore you think if someone's got a bigger number or a bigger popularity or a bigger seeming impact in the world, their purpose is somehow bigger than yours. Einstein said everyone is a genius, but if you convince a fish that it has to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking it's a failure. So there's no big and there's no small. There's just beautiful. And sometimes small is beautiful, and sometimes big is beautiful. It just depends what contribution you're meant to make. So how do you know that you're making your best contribution? How do you know that you're unleashing that potential? Always be open to upgrading your purpose. Start where you are and never be closed. Purpose can always be expanding. Purpose can always be evolving. Purpose can always be uplifted and elevated. So I would say once you've found something that you think is your purpose, number one, keep questioning yourself and challenging yourself to do better. Number two, have people around you who can help you to see what untapped potential you may not be utilizing. And number three, keep trying more things and experiment. And so purpose, again, is not just something you find and then that's it. It's something that you kind of define and then you keep refining that definition as life goes on.
We have a couple more live questions.
In life, we have an identity that we hold ourselves to. There are ways that people see us, and it kind of limits the questions that we feel comfortable in asking. Sometimes we don't want to seem idiotic. We don't want to make contentious opinions. We don't want to, in a way, we don't want to stand out, right? There's a mold that we're in, and we try to break free of that mold, but it's hard. What's the question I want to ask? How do
you break free from
How do you break free of that mold? Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. Thank you for, it's such an important point. They say I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I'm who I think you think I am. That's how disconnected we've become from our own identity. If the friends around you don't inspire you to do more, to be more, to dream more, then it's not a circle of friends, it's a cage. The people you choose to spend time with and the people you choose to really be part of your life, it will very much define your journey. And so a lot of it, as I said, is about finding friendships in which you can be honest. How many of us have gone through our lives and we've just had friendships for years, and we know those friendships are very superficial because we're not able to be ourselves in those friendships. So yes, you're surrounded by a world of judgment. But when you find there are people who don't judge you, but who empower you, those are your friends. And so we have to be brave enough to find real friendship. You know, in a world we're kind of very self-conscious. We don't want to be alone. We don't want to be, you know, seen that we don't have many friends around us. And therefore we just kind of latch on to a bunch of people who perhaps we don't connect deeply with. And so you have to be brave. You have to be courageous. You have to be willing to embrace a little bit of discomfort. But the net result of it is you find what's really deep within your heart. And you discover who you really are. You know, some people will tell you, you're not going to amount to anything in your life. And some people will tell you, you can be anything you want to be. But the sages actually say both things are lies. It's not that you're nothing, and it's not that you can be anything you want to be, but you can be everything that you're meant to be. You're meant to be something. You're meant to do something. You have a contribution to make. And when you surround yourselves with people who are not going to judge you, but are going to empower you, you'll be able to find that contribution. And remember, it's not big or small. It's all beautiful.
Hi, Swamiji. My name is Abhinay. I also want to shout out to RUBhakti for putting all of this together. So my question for you is, as you know, our brain is constantly thinking about anything and everything. How do we slow down, especially with our minds being very busy and active all the time? How can we control them so they don't overwhelm and consume us?
So you feel like you live in a world where you're overloaded by information, you're overloaded by messages, and your mind is kind of overwhelmed with that and you can't think clearly. Yeah, they say that average person during their day, they are basically processing in one day 70 gigabytes of information through your devices, through advertisements, through messaging, so much information. So that's why I told you the first thing is disconnect for 1 hour a day. Disconnect and go in your inside world. Disconnect from all of that information, that ocean of bombarding messaging, and just be with yourself. The second thing I would say is set boundaries with technology. You have to use technology. You're not going to ever be able to get away from it. Weapons of mass distraction. But set some boundaries. Don't allow the entirety of your day to be lost on a device. Know when to say, this is time, without the device. And what you'll find is you end up opening a lot of headspace up because you disconnect from that intensity. And then I would say one thing that's being lost in the world today is connect with nature. Walk, Go in natural environments, connect with the earth, breathe fresh air. Go to environments which are not infused with the artificiality of the world that we're living in. And what you might find is in those natural environments, you actually also unlock a little bit of your own natural, pure consciousness as well. So that's another thing you can try out.
Kind of, I guess, ask one of our last questions. I know the interview's been going on for quite a while now, good about 45 minutes. But I know you've kind of broke down purpose and finding purpose on that individual level. Is there any last piece of advice you would like to give to us college kids regarding this topic? We would love to hear it.
Regarding purpose,
yes.
Any last advice? Yeah, the last advice I would give you, today we talked a lot about how to find your purpose. Today we talked a lot about living your purpose and not being drawn into inauthenticity because of things around you. But the final piece to the puzzle is that purpose is never selfish. The final piece to the puzzle is that once you've found your purpose and you're living the purpose, what you have to do is use that purpose to make a contribution in the world, to try to help other people have better lives, to try to bring joy and happiness and help people to overcome their difficulties. When we live a life which is selfless, then we achieve an incredible level of satisfaction and fulfillment. They say the sure formula for a boring life is a life which begins and ends with I, me, and mine. So if our life is just about I, me, and mine, even if you're successful, even if you get your dream job, even if you get all the letters behind your name and all the accolades and achievements, when you sit in a room, in a quiet moment, you'll feel a vacuum in your heart. Because purpose is never selfish. Purpose is always meant to make a contribution to the world and a contribution to people's lives. And so all of you have the ability to be conscious change makers. We live in a world which is going not in a good direction. They say there are taller buildings but shorter tempers, wider highways but narrower minds. People have more but they enjoy it less. They've conquered outer space but they're struggling with inner space. We have more degrees but less sense. We have more conveniences but less time. We're living in a world which needs spiritual people. We're living in a world which needs another paradigm of information to help people understand that with all their advancement, we're missing a vital piece, which is spirituality. And each one of us in this room have the ability to be a conscious change maker. And that's what's really going to make the world a better place. Because Einstein said, you can't solve the problems of the world with the same type of thinking that created them in the first place. And so I guess my final message to all of you would be, you're young, you're intelligent, you have incredible abilities, and you all have a purpose. And with that purpose, you can do something amazing to serve the world and make this world more beautiful. And if you do that, not only will you be satisfied, but so many others around you will be benefited.
Thank you so much.
Can we have another round of applause for SP Keshava Swami and our interviews? I can't hear you. Yeah. I'd like to just take a moment to express my gratitude towards SP Keshava Swami for coming all the way out here to speak to us at Rutgers. He was in New York City earlier this week speaking at Google, and now he's here imparting his profound wisdom upon us. So thank you so much for that, SP Keshava Swami. And I would like to also express my gratitude towards our wonderful interviewers, Shyam and Arav, for guiding us in these insightful conversations and this deep dialogue with such grace and depth. So thank you so much. And now I would like to invite Hadai Pran, who is a monk from Brooklyn, up to stage to actually lead us in a short mantra meditation session and speak on its significance. So wherever you are, Hadai Pran, we'd love to have you up here.
Please
there
give
he
it
is.
up for Hadai Pran.
Yeah.
You come on. You do it.
Hare Krishna. Can we have the mantra on the screen?
Yes, the mantra.
So this is an ancient mantra, and mantra means, it has a Sanskrit word. Man means mind. Trayate, the second word, the word means to connect. So this is a ancient form of meditation. You sometimes, if you try to meditate, sometimes you sit on the floor and you fall asleep, or something like that. So this type of meditation, it's a call and response meditation. So there's 16 words here, and let's try it together. So repeat after me. Hare Krishna. I couldn't hear you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Wow, you guys are natural. So we're gonna do this kirtan. So basically this mantra means, "Oh divinity, please engage me in your service." As Maharaj's Swami's final point was that to be in service to others, connected with divinity is actually the highest way of service and to serve. So we're gonna chant this mantra. So I'm gonna sing it once, and you guys can follow me. And there's gonna be a person playing that ancient-looking drum, and there's gonna be someone playing those hand cymbals, the kartals. So, and follow along, clap, dance. Don't get too rowdy. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone clap your hands. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everyone, last chance. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Yeah, thank you all for coming tonight. I know some people have come from very far away to be here, students, professors, some alumni as well, so we definitely appreciate you. Without you guys, we don't get the funding for these kind of events, so we definitely appreciate all of your support. So yeah, we are the Rutgers Bhakti Yoga Club. If you like what you saw here today, we meet every Thursday, mainly at Tillett Hall in Livingston, but locations are announced on Instagram and GroupMe. Those QR codes we'll put up there. Other than that, please make sure you have meal vouchers. If you came in from the back, I don't think you got those, but you'll need them for when you get food later on. But just make sure you have those. If you don't have them, you can go to the front and get those. If you have feedback for this event, or if you have any other ideas for what you would like us to do in the future, feel free to talk to anybody wearing these shirts. We're definitely looking for feedback, and definitely a lot of room for improvement. And other than that, yeah, thank you so much again, Swami. I'm sure you got a lot of thank yous today, but thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you. And again, Arav and Sham, they really stepped up this semester. Couldn't have done it without them, along with the rest of my... Along with the rest of the team, definitely couldn't have done it without all you guys, so I definitely really appreciate you. But other than that, I think it's time for me to pass it to Raj.
Hi everyone. So thank you so much for coming today. I don't know if we've managed to thank each and every one of you for being here, so maybe you can give yourselves a round of applause for being a wonderful audience. So I'm here to speak very, very briefly. So as you may have seen on the table, there are some books. So Keshava Swami, as well as being a really prolific speaker, he's an incredible author as well. He's authored 10 books, which as we've been touring around America, they've actually been selling out across the country. So I'm going to explain a little bit about the books, and we have some available for you on the side here. So for today, we've got 3 other books available. A lot of what Keshava Swami was speaking about today, a lot of the wisdom has been taken from the ancient Eastern traditions, such as the Bhagavad Gita. And so we have 2 books today based on the Bhagavad Gita. The first one is called Gita Free. This is like a life manual. It's got 50 different life hacks, experiments, and meditations, which can really help us navigate through life's challenges. All of us here at university will be going through different challenges as we go through life. And this book is incredible for those of us who really want to navigate through those in a meaningful way. We also have Gita Life, which is another book based on the Bhagavad Gita. And this book is a summary of the Bhagavad Gita. If anyone here has ever tried to read the Bhagavad Gita, I know when I tried to read it, a lot of the information went over my head. It's quite a complex book. It's got very intricate ideas, which many of us, and I know, like I said, for myself, found very, very difficult to comprehend. So this book, as well as Keshava Swami's wisdom, makes it very, very simple. He has this incredible ability to make complex ideas very, very simple and easy for us to understand. And so this book is a summary of the Bhagavad Gita, and each of the 18 chapters has its own acronym, with each of the letters of the acronym summarizing the main themes of a chapter. And last but not least, we have a book called Tattva. If you don't follow Keshava Swami online, please do check out his Instagram, his Facebook, any social media on, WhatsApp broadcast channels. He's sharing wisdom on there very regularly. He's an incredible person who I know I've tried and follow around the world, and I know many of you do as well, so if you don't, please do check it out. This book is based on Keshava Swami's blog, which is called Tattva. Now, this book itself is also called Tattva, and it has excerpts from a blog, as well as many of us today had questions. Many of us, as we go through life, has questions. And Keshava Swami, as he travels around the world, he's constantly meeting people who are asking him different questions. And so this book is a compilation of those questions and his answers to those questions. So as we go through life, again, we'll have many questions, and this book helps us answer those questions in a really helpful way. So we have these 3 books available on the side there. Now, we know all of you are students here, and so money is a bit tight, and so we have got a very good deal for you on each of these. Gita Free is available for just $12.50. Tattva for $14 and Gita Life for $11. So if you would like a copy, you can come and see us on the side there. We accept card, we accept Apple Pay. And if it's okay with Keshava Swami, maybe he'll even be available to come and for you to sign those books. So if anyone would like to have those books, Keshava Swami will be sat around there as well. You can come and meet him, you can ask him any questions you may have quickly and get your book signed as well. So please come and see us for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Raj, for that debrief. Now, I don't know about you, but I think all this talk about finding purpose has made me think about what my purpose truly is tonight, and I think that's to get some delicious food.
Of course you're thinking about food.
You know me, I'm always thinking about food. So in terms of getting the food, you guys probably receive wristbands. They're either orange or yellow. So you could get in line. We have 2 serving lines and just get into those 2 serving lines accordingly.
Don't worry, you guys are all getting the same food. There's no different food. But just a PSA, we do have to empty out both rooms by 10 p.m. tonight, so please keep that in mind. And thank you for bearing with us tonight. We hope you guys had fun.